I am very excited about our next guest, and not just because he's the head football coach at not only the best university in Boston, but also one of the most pleasant surprises in the NFL. But I'm an esteemed graduate of Boston College, so it is with my great pleasure that I bring in right now. Guy I knew a little bit when he was in his NFL days. Bill O'Brien is on the show. Bill, how we doing in Chestnut Hill right now, man?
I'm doing well, Tom. How you doing? It's good to see you. It's been a while, and I'm sitting here at your alma mater, and things are going okay. So it's good to see you, Tom.
Your wife was also a BC graduate, and I'm curious. So when you first take the job, and I'm sure you had been back at various points here, but did she give you like the tour? I know like Mary Ann's is long gone and whatnot, but did she give you the tour of like, here's where the hangouts were back in the day? Here's where I occasionally went to the library and that stuff?
She did. And it's a funny story. I was on the phone with a recruit right when I got the job. And, I was trying to tell him some information about BC. And when I got off the phone call, she's like, all of that was wrong. You need a better lesson in BC. So she gave me a quick lesson, in some of the majors and the campus setup and all that. And she's my harshest critic, no doubt about it.
Well, it's been impressive to watch, man, because there's a lot of dynamics in college football. We can get to that, too, that maybe didn't even exist back when you were at Penn State. But the way that you've had that team playing with, kind of an NFL-style approach so far, what has been your focus in terms of getting this program off and running at a time that it's really difficult, I think, to kind of get things quickly headed that direction?
I think the first thing we did when we got here, Tom, was we tried to right away hire a good staff, including a really good strength staff that knew how to train these guys. So we were able to hire guys like Craig Fitzgerald as a strength coach, Tim Lewis, defensive coordinator, Will Lawing, offensive coordinator. And those guys, with the experience that they have, they were able to hit the ground running. I also met with each guy on the team immediately, the first 2 weeks that I had the job. And that helped, so I could explain to my philosophy. I could listen to them, about their background, where they came from, why they chose BC, things like that. So I think we got off to a good start. And, we work. These guys, we work at it. We're not out on the practice field forever, but, we work when we're out there, and we try to make it as quality time as possible relative to practice. Very efficient practices is what we try to do every single day. And, I think these guys have bought into it.
Last week, you're playing with a guy making his first college start, first BC start, which is always, a little bit of a battle here. Are we going to see Thomas Castellanos back against Virginia? And also, are we going to see that guy in the NFL eventually? Because I've heard broadcasters referring to him as Kyler Murray light. He's kind of got that look to him. He's wearing the same number. Does he have a pro future?
He definitely does. Look, he'll be back against Virginia. First, real quick on Grayson. I give Grayson a lot of credit. He came back from injury himself about 3 weeks ago. He had a shoulder issue, and he came back and he practiced well, and then he got the start when Tommy was out. And he threw an interception in the first half, but he came back and played really well. Tommy is back healthy. He's been cleared to play. Had a really good week of practice, and Tommy definitely has a future. Tommy has improved a great deal as a passer. He's really improved his footwork, his knowledge of our offense, and his knowledge of defense. He's a great guy to coach, and I don't think there's any doubt that he's got a future in the National Football League. So, but right now we're just focused on Virginia, and I think, like I said, I think he's had a really good week. So I'm really excited for him to go out and play well on Saturday.
There's also a couple of guys on your defense, and I don't even, I've been watching every game here, but all I know is it's number 5 and number 6. I don't even know the names off the top of my head. I just always know 5 and 6 are there. Yeah. What type of an impact do those guys make on that defense?
Yeah, number 6, Donovan Ezaraku, is another guy that'll definitely play on Sundays. He is a defensive end, outside linebacker, excellent athlete, very, very smart, very explosive. He had 14 tackles last week. He had 3 sacks, a strip sack. He single-handedly took the game over in the fourth quarter and did a great job. And then Cam Arnold is number 5. He's an inside linebacker, definitely has a great future. Both those guys are captains, by the way. Tommy Castellanos is a captain. They do excellent jobs as leaders. And Cam had a huge interception last week that helped us, turn that into a touchdown and win the game. So Cam Arnold's had a really good year. Very steady guy, same guy every day, and fun guy to coach.
BC coach Bill O'Brien is our guest. So there's a lot of coaches, including your predecessor at BC, who in recent years it's, hey, college football is tough lifestyle-wise and everything else, who have gone to the NFL. You went the other way. And I know that you grew up in the college game. You coached at Penn State before. But what do you think about the way that this has changed over the last decade here? And is there any part of the NFL that you miss right now?
I think the big thing about college football is to embrace the change. Look, name, image, and likeness is a part of it. I experienced it firsthand at Alabama when I had Bryce Young, and he handled it very, very well. And I think it's even grown since then. And so Boston College will be a part of that, but that's not what we're all about, though. We're about our school, our academics. You know that better than anybody, what it can do for your life. It's a life-changing place. The transfer portal, look, we have transfers on the team. They're great guys. They're some of our better players. But moving forward, I think we have to build this program through recruiting, high school recruiting. And I believe that we can do that. And I think as a head coach, you just have to do a great job of budgeting your time so that you can coach. I actually coach the team every day, and then, I recruit and I deal with NIL, and you just have to have great people around you that help you budget your time. And that's what we try to do. Relative to the NFL, Tom, you and I spent some time together when I was in Houston, and I love the NFL. I have a lot of respect for the National Football League and the strategy and the players and the coaches that are in that league. It's the highest level of football. I wouldn't say there's anything I miss about it, but I've just been fortunate because I have experience at both levels, and I think that's a pretty cool thing.
You mentioned Bryce Young in there. You saw that guy playing as well as anybody in the country. Right now, he's backing up Andy Dalton in Carolina. He's been through 3 different, essentially, offenses in less than 2 NFL seasons. Knowing him the way that you do, knowing how, intellectual he is about the game, do you still believe we can get to that Bryce Young in the NFL, and how do you do it?
There's no doubt. I have a very, very strong belief in Bryce Young. He's a really, really smart guy. He's got a great demeanor. He's an awesome teammate. A very hardworking guy. Look, at the end of the day, it's not just about the quarterback. The quarterback has to be surrounded by all different type of support system, whether it's the teammates, the players, the people in the front office, the coaching staff, whatever it is. Bryce will learn from it. I'm sure he'll be the first to tell you that he probably wishes he had a few plays back from his time so far. But, at the end of the day, everybody that's been successful as a quarterback in that league, really everybody, if you think about it, has gone through some type of adversity. Everybody from Peyton Manning to Tom Brady to Drew Brees to you can name it. All the best have gone through adversity, and I think that Bryce will be back. And I will never bet against Bryce Young. He's a hell of a player and an even better person.
So you obviously coached under Nick Saban at Alabama. I'm curious about this because 3 very important people in your football life are all now in the media. It's Saban, it's Bill Belichick, and it's Tom Brady. I'm not going to ask you to break down, their verbal pace or their color and analysis. What I'm curious about is this. If you can rank them 3 to 1, 3 lowest, 1 at the top, of your surprise level that they work in the media at all, how would you stack up those 3 guys?
Man, I don't know. That's hard to say. It's hard to say. I think I would probably put Bill at the top. Not necessarily surprised, but just, didn't know that he would actually do that, but he's doing it very, very well. That's the thing that's cool to watch is, watching Bill Belichick, watching Nick Saban. I haven't heard too many of Tom's games, but I've heard they've been really cool and good, and none of that surprises me. These guys are very, very bright guys. The thing that's cool about it, Tom, is I think the fans can really get a really good insight into football because of what these guys are doing. These are the greatest to ever do it, the greatest quarterback to ever play, the greatest college coach of all time, and the greatest NFL coach of all time. And they're, in my estimation, they're giving back to the game. So they're helping the fans really understand the game at another level. And I think that's what's very cool about it. But I'd probably put Bill at number 1 relative to my surprise of him being in the media.
With Tom, and obviously, you wear your emotions on your sleeve. We've all seen, you guys had a very open relationship on the sideline. Let's put it that way in terms of the back and forth. At times, I'm listening to Tom, and I'm like, I know this is way worse than he's willing to verbalize right now, like what he's watching on the field. Like in your mind, like what is he really wanting to say about a lot of the things that he sees on Sundays?
Like I said, I haven't heard a whole lot, but I did hear, like, for instance, how he addressed Baker Mayfield's comments. And, Baker's a great player, and I have a lot of respect for Baker, but some of the comments he made, relative to the locker room and stuff. Tom's a very honest guy. There's not gonna be many times where Tom holds back, but I do think in order to do the job that he's doing now, he's got to have a good relationship with the players and the coaches that he's covering. So, you can't go over the edge. I'm sure there's times where he probably wants to say this is the worst beepity beep I've ever seen, but he doesn't do that. And I think that's a credit to him. He tries to. What's always impressive to me about those guys, like Troy Aikman, I think is awesome at that, and Tony Romo. Those guys are really good at it. Tom's just starting out. They explain the game to the fans as the fans are watching the game. I think that's a really cool thing, and it's not easy to do. And I think Tom's doing a great job.
Again, we all saw, occasionally there were some back and forth of the two of you guys on the sidelines. Is there one that jumps out in your mind, a story of whether whatever you were talking about got fixed or not? Is there one back and forth with Tom on the sideline that stands out in your mind?
It was more from practice, Tom. Like there were things that happened in practice. I told a story one time where we would use our headset, our coach to quarterback communication all the time in New England in practice to help us prepare for the game. And so, the whole thing, you had to press the button, the beep would go. And, there were times where it didn't work, right? There was something wrong with it or whatever. And I can remember one time where he just kept saying to me, he was like, you got to wait for the beep. You got to wait for the beep. I'm like, it's not beeping. It's not beeping, Tom. Do you understand that? He's like, and he kept saying, you got to wait. Finally, I just took the whole thing off. I said, you do it. And I threw it at him. And I don't think Belichick even batted an eye. He just said, this is usual for these two. I think the thing about, the NFL is you're around these guys so much. It's like a brotherhood, and brothers fight sometimes, and then quickly it's over. You know what I mean? And it's a short memory. And I think that it was so competitive at the Patriots that sometimes, the temperature would rise a little bit, and but it would go down very quickly.
There's also something to this where, you're going back and dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. Now, I mean, with the transfer portal, some of the guys on your team are probably 24, but you got some younger types of guys. You think about how Bill established his programs and how direct, and I don't want to say negative, but certainly there was negative feedback that was part of fixing things, right? Through the course of time. Can you coach that way? Are there enough Tom Brady's? I mean, he's very unique, but are there enough guys who are responding to that you see in the younger generation now that you're back in college football?
I believe there are. I think at the end of the day, regardless of NIL, portal, all of it, I really have a strong belief that guys want to be led. They want to be coached by the coach. And so I think as long as you teach them, what you're looking for. This is the vision. This is how the play should work. This is how this drill should work. This is, complementary football. Here's what it all looks like. Then when it's not executed properly, you can get on them because you've taught them that and you've seen them do it the right way. And so I think that you definitely can. And I think guys really want to be coached. I think they appreciate good coaching. And, we have a really good staff here that has, a strong relationship with the players here. We're early on. We're 4-1. We got 7 games to go. We got a very tough game at Virginia on Saturday, but so far we're off to a pretty good start.
With the expanded playoff, I mean, I know we're a long ways out. I'm not trying to put pressure on you. I'm not trying to get you here, but I mean, is it in the back of your head, even when you're playing a team like you did last week and you find a way to win with a young quarterback, like that keeps you alive here for, some type of an end goal here beyond just, the standard bowl game?
I think there's two things that we think about. I think it's a great question. I think that we talk a lot about, one play at a time, understanding how important this Tuesday practice is, this Wednesday practice is. We practiced this morning, Thursday, I think we talk about that a lot. But we also know that there are things, if we can continue to, adhere to that, one play at a time motto, and we can win, then yeah, there's things out there for us. I think that's what's cool about college football now, that they expanded that playoff. There's things out there, but again, we've got to focus on the task at hand, which is Virginia, and it's going to be a very tough game down there.
One more quick thing, and we really appreciate your time here, Bill. If there's one thing you could do for me, can you disambiguate the logos at BC? Because we got one logo on the screen right now. You got a different one on your hat. The one at midfield is different. I've seen the meeting rooms. There's one on the chairs versus one of those. Can we get, yes, exactly. There's that one, which is the old school. That's the Doug Flutie era, 80s and 90s BC. Can we just get one logo across everything, please?
I agree, Tom. Now, downstairs in our locker room, we have the logo that you have on your screen right here for, underneath my name. That's the best logo, really is. I agree with you. I'm being serious. I love the colors, the maroon, the gold, love it. But I think at the end of the day, that old school logo, the old school uniforms. I got a picture of Doug over my shoulder here, and the old school uniforms are awesome. So, I think we're working hard to get back to that. I was able to get Doug on the Insiders here recently because there was a story that I've told many times, including about a month or so ago in Good Morning Football, where he elbowed me in a pickup game at the old Recplex on campus, which has since been demolished. There's a new one in there. He said he didn't remember specifically, but the story sounded authentic. So he's still, I'm sure if you walk down there right now, he's probably still throwing elbows down there at some of the college kids. I remember stories about him at the Patriots during OTAs. He'd practice in the morning, and then he'd be in his baseball uniform going to play, baseball in the inner city league here in Boston, play for the Natick team. And, then he'd come in and say, I was 3 for 4, turned 2 double plays. The guy's an amazing guy. Never ages. Bill, thanks a lot for being here, man. And if you also can work on getting the shrine built to me, I want it outside Mod 7B, right in the tailgate area there. That would be fantastic. Appreciate it, man. Good luck. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.